Hey folks, how you doing? I got a great show for you tonight. Uh, in the news that's out there, we're going to talk about Kevin Smith and is he overrated? That's what the topic will be. Is he overrated? I picked the topic. These guys didn't know. Um, and real quick, these are my guests. I want to thank Max G, who's a gigolo sitting in the backyard. And there, and of course there's Mexican Ironman, who is a very passionate. He knows all about the Hollywood machine. um, Thank you guys for coming on. We're gonna have a cool discussion. Hopefully we're gonna, this will be the, what is it, the 7.8 millionth video about Kevin Smith fucking up He-Man. All right, so let's do this. All right, real quick, when I said, is Kevin Smith overrated? What are your thoughts on that? Real quick.
You want
Yes
me
or
to
no?
go?
Yeah,
Me
go ahead.
first? All right. Well, I got to tell you, one of the things with me is that I think there, when I looked at the all of the outreach video that have happened, there's people that are. I have a friend of mine who Kevin Smith is like his role model. Kevin Smith is someone that he looked up to. Kevin Smith was an inspiration, and he's mad because his hero is been dethroned or his hero is off his pedestal. There are some people who may or may not have been great Kevin Smith fans that feel that the way he represented how this He-Man property was going to be handled, um, that he lied about it or he misrepresented what we eventually got. And there's people that are mad about that. Then there's probably people like me who are in this other camp where I was never a fan. I never thought he did great work. I really don't care if he misrepresented things because I really wasn't banking on that, but I sure as heck was a He-Man fan when I was a little kid, and I'll tell you that story later in the podcast. But I'm just really angry that this guy who was put in charge of something I cared about um, did what he did and made me feel the way I felt that I didn't expect to feel. So I mean, we'll start with that, I guess.
Okay. How about you, Max? I'm sorry, I had to mute you because there was somebody talking. Go ahead.
Some ambiance. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Is Kevin Smith overrated? Is he rated? Can we start there? I mean, I don't feel like
Yeah.
Kevin Smith has that high of a rating.
Oh, come on,
Okay.
Max.
I really don't. I think he has a lot of respect in the community as far as Hollywood's concerned, but I don't think that there's studios just putting dump trucks of money to his house for him to produce things. I think a
Oh,
lot of the things he's tried to do got canceled or he hasn't been able to get funding because maybe he isn't as good as his reputation would say he is. And as far as ruining your childhood, I mean, he remade a shitty show that was already kind of shitty when we were kids. I guess we can get into it further, but I think the studio gave him some money. He wrote an episode and he cashed out on it, which I wouldn't argue with him to do that, or I wouldn't knock him for doing that, frankly.
well, to me, it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but to me, if a studio came here's a perfect example,
Sure.
and I've made a video about, I've talked about this, Cobra Kai. Okay, there's a show that I thought when I, like, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I grew up watching Cobra,
Same thing.
you know,
Karate Kid series was
Karate
a
Kid.
beloved series growing
I
up.
thought
Sure.
I thought it was going to be a nightmare.
Agree.
Okay, I thought this guy, the way things are going, I used to be a huge Doctor Who. I'll show you all my Doctor Who stuff. You'll sit there and go, wow, he's blowing a fortune. I can't watch a show anymore. Why?
Mm.
Because they screw around with canon. Okay, and when you screw around with canon, you've destroyed a show. Okay, so if I gave you the keys to a show, and I said, okay, Max, I want you to do this, be it Master of the Universe, be it anything. You could make fun of it and say, it's just a kid's show or whatever. Any show, Max, that you enjoyed as a child. I don't know how old you are, but any show that you enjoyed, okay?
I was a He-Man guy. I had all the characters. I had
Okay.
Castle Grayskull. I had them all.
Me too. I still do. Okay.
Mine are in bad shape. I didn't
Yeah,
respect them as
but
much, but
but how, like when you sit there and like when I watch Cobra Kai, I couldn't stop. I had to rewatch the first episode because I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
They brought something new to it where there was some nostalgia, but at the same
Hey,
time there was a little something new, and it was tongue in cheek in the sense that we all knew we were all in on the joke, but they had a good time.
He took it dead serious. He went
Right.
through every single movie, him and his buddies, and they said this, and we're gonna get other footage. If you watch
Mhm.
the show, you'll sit there and go, I don't remember this in the movie, because
I remember everything.
he's gotten permission of getting that
Sure.
footage, and he's thrown it in there. And little things like where he's wearing like like the Miguel today is wearing like like in one scene he's wearing like a San Diego Chargers football jersey. That's what Ralph Macchio wore in 1984.
Right.
It's little
There's
things
a ton of nostalgia built
okay, but this is how
into.
good it is. This is how good it is. Okay. My son will like I didn't sneak him. He wasn't sneaking watching porn. He would sit there and sneak and watch Cobra Kai and watch Karate Kid by himself. I wouldn't sit there and say, what are you doing, mate? He would
Well,
sit
that's great. I think
and
it has
to
found
me,
a generation.
hey man,
A
it put a tear
generation
in my
is
eye.
that.
I was
Right.
like, man, that's the way. That's beautiful because that movie, okay, meant a lot to me, and
Right.
he respected the.
Oh, was it because a young Italian kid
No,
fighting?
it was just a great story. It could have been anybody.
No, it was. It
It's
was really
just
a great
as
story.
long as it's a good story, Max. I don't care. As-
And just real quick, video on Cobra Kai. I think it's brought a generation of fans to the movies at the same time as it's brought us to the show. I think a lot of people, like my wife, for example, watched it with me. She's never seen the movies, and she
Mm.
goes, "Oh, well, now I have to watch the movies because I really enjoyed this show."
right.
Which this He-Man, I mean,
Okay,
no,
well,
that
that's the thing with with Kevin Smith though, where he was given the keys to He-Man, given a property to a show that a lot of people enjoyed and grew up and wanted to watch that with their child, because you got to remember that's like 35 years later. Okay, so
yes,
Right.
I'm a grown ass man watching cartoons. Okay, big deal. I want to watch them with my kid.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Like to me, I want him to have that joy that I had when I watched it and just go, wow, check this out. And okay, the graphics on the show are amazing. They're fantastic.
They are. They're amazing.
Agreed.
The animators are incredible. But the no, it's not He-Man. And when he said stuff like, Jesus sacrificed himself, I thought, well, that's an incredibly stupid thing to say.
Oh my God! When he said he would put the one of his kids' life, he swears on that. Who does that as a father? I mean, who does that?
Well, you know what? To me, this is what it felt like. Okay, it felt like when you get criticized, and I mean, if you guys were attacking me about my work, I would sit there and go, hey, "What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about." I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, and you're like, instead of me listening to you and saying, "Dude, like before I even started, like if you gave me the keys to any movie." First of all, I would sit there and go, do I know it? Do I know it good enough? Okay, if I don't know it good enough, then I need to do my homework. Then I would ask anybody. I would ask Iron Man. Uh, I would sit there and go, listen, this is the story I want to. You know all about He-Man. Does this make sense to you? Or
Right.
do you think this would be stupid if I did it this way?
Mhm.
I would, I would sit there and I would ask. There are tons of amazing writers out there, okay, but they're not being used, okay,
No.
and it's gotten to the point now where before studios would sit there and go, dude, did you make money? Because if you didn't make money, you're out of here.
Right.
And for some reason now they're making that they're not making money, okay, and they're still going, dude, don't worry about it. We're still going to hire you. Instead of hiring guys like, okay, like, uh, Clownfish that brought this up. He brought this up a year ago. Okay.
Hmm.
and was chastised for this and attacked. But he spoke the truth. You know, he said, "Hey, you know, this they're going to do the bait and switch. Something's not right with this show because he has insiders in there. He knows something's up." Okay, this is a huge billion-dollar industry, and the He-Man show and several other shows. Who was it?
Well, look, let me jump in there. I want to say a couple of things. One of them is that about the kid thing. So my kid's 8. I don't know how old are your kids?
I got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Okay, so my kid's a little younger, but I watch everything that he's gonna watch. We watch stuff together, you know, and he's on we're in the Apple universe, so I can control his iPad and all this stuff. And he lives with his mom. Okay, and so one of the things that pissed me off and made me so angry. I mean, I've done a ton of rants on the internet about this stuff, and I think there's a couple of things I want to share out of the gate. One of them is that I didn't expect to have the negative reaction that I did. If someone had told me a few months ago, or well, actually my friend Tom did tell me that was going to be weird, and certainly Clownfish said a year ago, but if someone had, you know, I've known from rants on Star Trek, Star Wars, and different properties, and He-Man is something that there was G.I. Joe as action figures, and then there was He-Man. And for me, He-Man, when I was a kid, we were in this crappy apartment, and I was the only Mexican kid there, and I didn't have any friends. And one day I was playing, and then I met these other kids, and then we all would take our action figures every day after school around 3:30.
Right.
And to like none of us had a whole set because we're, you know, pretty poor,
Yeah.
but we all had different things, right? And some of there was overlap, and we would reenact the episodes, right? Like we would like redo the adventures and stuff. I mean, we would skip the part where there's the lesson of the day, you know, on each show, but you know, we would, you know, you remember the lessons of the day, right?
Yeah.
But I was very intimidated because I'd never been around, like, I mean, I was around all of a sudden a bunch of white kids, and it was just a new experience for me. And it's what brought us together. It's why this day I don't understand all this crap that goes on with this racist this or I don't understand this, because to me we're all just kids.
Yeah.
And what happened with this thing, and then the second thing I think that triggered me. So first thing is it hit that little kid in me, and it made me feel that after all the other crap that's happened with Hollywood, it triggered me, and it triggered me hard, and it triggered a younger version of me, not the more grown-up version of me that was into Star Trek Next Generations, DS9 and that stuff, but the little kid in me. And I felt like something got taken. And then the second thing that pissed me off was that I instantly knew this was a show that I wasn't going to let my kid watch. And
Wow.
And I just instantly knew it. And something really weird happened, which is I'll just throw a third point in there while I'm talking now, which is that on men, I've talked about this He-Man stuff on multiple YouTube channels, but I've gone I got pretty heated, unexpectedly and emotional.
Wow.
And I think that's how Vito found me. I don't know if it was on Midnight's Edge, I don't know if it was on Doomcock show, but
Yeah, it was on.
was it in Doomcock? Okay,
Yeah.
well, if you think that rant was epic, you should see what I did on Midnight's Edge, because Midnight's Edge, what they did is they had me on, Max, and I had only seen the first. Okay, so I plowed through the first 4 episodes. I got about 8 or 9 minutes into the 5th one, and just like in The Last Jedi, I threw my phone up in the air, landed on the sofa, and I said, I can't. I said, Max, I can't finish this shit. I just can't, right? And I stopped. Well, I then go on the show, and I get invited because the guy Andre, and it's, you know, there's like 250,000 followers on this guy, subs on this guy's channel, and he's a good friend of mine, and he knows I'm a He-Man fan, and he knows that I was watching it that morning, and so he brings me on, and in the middle of the live stream, it's a 3.5-hour live stream, Vito, and he made me go finish the 5th episode, which is where disaster struck. And I came back and I just lost my ever-loving mind on that show. And wow. and I think really what it was 2 things. One is that I felt like the little kid in me just got punched in the gut, exactly, and hit hard.
Yes.
And the second thing that pissed me off is that I instantly knew that something that I loved wasn't going to be able to be shared. In the same way, for example, oddly enough, I'd never had talked to my kid about Godzilla, and out of the blue moon, he went and wanted a Godzilla figure when I'm a huge Godzilla fan as a kid, and I never talked to him about it. He'd never seen me with Godzilla anywhere around me at all. And then one day, and now to this day, he's like a hardcore Godzilla fan. Like he's like lecturing me about how the 50s and 60s Godzilla is better and the stuff in the 90s is crap. And I'm looking at him like, you're freaking 8 years old. How do you know this stuff?
That's a whole other show, right?
Right. So In any case,
So-
those are things that got to me, Max. You know.
So Iron Man, what specifically got to you? What's so damning about this show compared to the original? Is that your main gripe? So you said you made a connection with kids in your neighborhood, being a Latino and everything
Well,
else.
you know, I mean,
But
really,
what specifically it differs from the original material that's really bugging you?
look,
If you had
I mean,
to pick
I
one thing,
oh God, if I don't know if I can pick
if you had to
just
pick
one.
the main thing that's really killing you about this.
The action figures that I had as a He-Man was not the hero.
Yeah, Max.
There's
Right.
no hero's journey.
They wanted the girls to be the
It's like
right.
It's like having a Superman movie, and Superman dies 30 seconds into it.
And I found Skeletor to be like a goofy character, whereas I didn't think that in the original as well, right?
Here's the thing.
Exactly.
He was like
Max.
incompetent. Like he
Yeah,
used to be afraid of him, and now he's like this incompetent skull face guy.
Exactly, Max. Max, that's exactly.
Yeah,
Here's
they
the
made
thing.
the guys to be goofballs.
The guys are good.
What they've done, and they did the same thing with Doctor Who. I know. I don't know if you watch Doctor Who. I used to.
Yeah.
That was my show. Okay.
Mm.
Tom Baker was my guy. All right. When you take a character, something that, like, you could sit there and go, it's silly. Like, why, it's a cartoon or whatever. No, these are memories. Okay. These are wonderful memories. And when people fuck with your memories,
Oh, come on now, you guys.
that's not cool. That's not cool, man.
Was the show ever? I mean, okay, so Iron Man, you were a huge fan of the show.
Oh, you can call me Mike. You can call me Mike. You can call me Mike.
Sorry, Mike.
No, it's okay.
The action figures were cooler than the show anyway, right?
Exactly.
Like that was the whole thing when you were a kid, was playing with these action figures. I always thought the show was kind of shitty. Like even when I was a kid, like I don't think I'd revisit as an adult, and I haven't. And we could get into the movie too, because I remember seeing that as a kid going, oh, what the fuck is that? It seemed weird too, which I think they kind of misstepped there. But the big thing was the action figures.
Yeah, well, different strokes for different folks, and for me, for me, I didn't watch a lot of different cartoon properties, but that was one that I did watch. And again, so let's just go back. So the action figures and the time I spent with my friends, and and Eddie, the guy who, I mean, me and Eddie actually started hating each other, and that brought us together. He was a little redhead kid that was in the same apartment complex, and we ended up becoming the best of friends. I mean, we started hating each other, and that ended up bringing us together. And then the show was like phenomenally amazing. I don't know, but it was an amazing thing for me as a kid at the time.
And now, what about She-Ra? Remember She-Ra was the accompanying show.
That's the thing that, like, okay, real quick story. My first sleepover was over. I was 7 years old, 1977.
What was the priest's name?
Father O'Malley. So my first sleepover was over a black kid's house, and we were just friends. And
I hope so. At 7, wow.
My brother fell over a balcony, and they felt really bad, so they invited me over, and they knew me and Gavin were friends, and they said, can I have a sleepover? And he introduced me to Star Wars and all this, and I didn't, because my parents worked like crazy. They didn't have,
right.
I mean, I think for Christmas, I got like, what did they get me? And I didn't even understand it, the toy. They bought me a TIE fighter, and I didn't get what I was like. Well, this is why does my brother have the cool looking X-wing, and I got this stupid looking? I fell in love with the X-wing, with the TIE fighter after, but
I had an X-wing. You pressed it in the back. It made a noise.
Yeah, we never looked at. I never looked at color. Never looked at anything. We never looked at anything like that. And it just seems like these shows are trying to demasculate men, trying to they're not making it entertain. They're trying to make people, instead of bringing people together and say, this is a great show, this is great, anybody could sit around and watch this. It's all a big fight. It's all like we got a problem with the storyline, because the storyline is terrible. Okay, the storyline is terrible. Okay,
It's terrible.
to me, when uh, with uh, uh, with Kevin Smith, it just seems like, okay, is he overrated? I think so. Why? Well, when a guy sits there and he talks bad about, everybody thought he was cool when he talked smack about Bruce Willis, about working with few people, talking about how shit they are. You got to remember, he's a showrunner, Max. He goes to, that means he has the power to sit there and go, I have the power. He could go up to the
I
heads.
have the power, no pun intended.
He could go up to the heads of NBC or Netflix and sit there and go, hey, there's a show here I like, and I think we should put money into it, and they'll listen to him. That's how much power he's got.
Certainly.
Hey, man, and if you got that much power, you better be good at your job.
Well, and you're actually touching on a really important point, Vito, because there's been plenty of articles that talk about where he actually, there's a video where he himself says that, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy from Netflix, God, I can't remember his name, but the producer guy from Netflix that controlled the budget, he would go to Kevin and say, hey, can we do this? Can we do this? And Kevin bragged that each time he said, okay, yeah, we can do that. Whereas they could have said, no, we're not going to do that because we're going to maintain the integrity and we're going to have a plot line that makes sense to the original fans as well as some potential new fans that might be out there. But as as I'm sure you guys have seen in your Hollywood and your entertainment experience, because you guys have experience as entertainers, sometimes some guys just want to kiss butt and do that instead.
Play the game, right? Sure.
Mike, do you think that it happened like this? Like, if I came to you and Max and I said, I'm going to give you $3 million. Okay. But this is how I want the story to go. I want the main character to croak. I want the girl to be the boss. Are you going to say no to the 3 million? Or are you going to say, hey, my integrity, hey man, no, can't do it? Because
guys, Vito, the show is called He-Man.
yeah, but
in this day and age, a show called He-Man, it might as well be called a derogatory name, because they had to totally zig from that, right? They had to, because that's how Hollywood works these days, and that's what writers' rooms and people salivate about.
You sit there if I sat here and I said,
I'll take the $3 million.
That's what I mean.
Sure.
And that's what I think happened to him.
Sure.
I think
he would be silly not to.
I think he's sitting there going, you know what? This is why
he cashed a check.
Mike, you remember after when he did the whole thing on his show, when he had like a podcast.
Oh, it's awful. I saw the whole thing.
Yeah. And
twice.
But here's the thing. I think it got to him where he sits there and he goes, they know I took the money and ran.
He's been taking the money and running.
But here's the thing. I believe that he's telling himself, I could still go back and save it.
No. I think the MO of his career is he didn't get the money on the first one, and now he's taking the money and running it.
Oh, no.
All the other ones.
He's got money, man. How much is he worth?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't get it on the Clerks one, and then he got it everywhere else.
I said this on a couple of live streams. This is an arrogant mofo, because think about this. One of the articles says that he's in his home in Hollywood Hills. He gets a phone call to be a showrunner for this. Right. He doesn't even want to take the time. I mean, if you guys know West Hollywood area, I used to have an office in Santa Monica at 5th and Santa Monica Boulevard. Okay.
Ooh.
So he didn't even want to. Yeah. By daytime, by day, I run an accounting office. I run a corporate tax office. I have clients in California and all over the country. So, I'm not a YouTuber, that type of stuff.
You hide the He-Man figures when you're talking to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Pull them out. I have the power. I have the tax power.
I have the tax.
No, but here's the deal. He didn't even want to drive down the hill. Okay, this is what he said, and he was proud of this. He didn't even want to drive down the hill off of Mulholland, whatever the hell, get on the 405, slap over on the 10, go to side. He didn't even want to go there to do the meeting. They had to drive to him up at his house up in the Hollywood Hills. I mean, that right there tells you this is a guy who's completely checked out. If someone makes it, I don't care. Listen, where I live now, I live on an island in Hilton Head. I'm on the water, on a golf course, the whole 9 yards.
Ooh.
But listen, if someone calls me, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying
What's your
that
handicap?
awful. I'm Mexican.
Okay.
I'm awful at golf. And so,
okay, so you cut the grass at least. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather do that. But if someone calls me and says, hey, one of your beloved childhood properties, and that's a problem. This never was a beloved childhood property for him. This is just a job, a higher thing. And that's why I think Max is right. When he got this phone call right here, he, the doing what's right for the fans was not even in the universe. Yeah. It's like, hey, $3 million, let's go. Right, Max? Right.
Yeah. And from Netflix perspective, they say, hey, we have this nostalgic material. Then we're going to slap Kevin Smith's name on it, who he's a comic book guy, a beloved director, creator, everything else. It's perfect for them. It's easy to sell.
If anyone can get the
fans like you, Mike.
Exactly.
That was it.
Exactly. It's like if anyone can get the fans like Mike, let's go get this guy, and then we'll just make him bend it, and hopefully they'll swallow it.
He's attached to it. We'll make him write the first episode or whatever the hell he did, and he doesn't care. He's cashing a check.
Guys, he's worth $25 million.
It doesn't matter. Even when you're worth $25 million, another check is another check.
That's the thing, though. You should never treat it like that.
You think he should have some artistic integrity.
Because you know what happened?
That shit went out the window years ago.
Because you know why they call him the king of nerds? Because they always believed that he would stick up for, which I never believed it, where he would stick up for, like he would make fun of Bruce Willis for not, doing a certain
Did he? I never remember that. They did cop out.
He crucified Bruce Willis. He called him every name in the book, and he would talk bad about if you were on set, if you were an actor, he'd talk about how shit you were, or if you were trying to, I'm not making this up. So he would, and that's where nerds would sit there and go, wow, he's one of us. He's one of us.
He's going to stay true to the source material and everything else. Sure.
In hindsight, he's doing a Jekyll and Hyde. And I think that's why when he was doing his, having those podcasts, I think it just got to him where he would have friends that worked on the show. It's like, hey, man, if I got in shit and you guys were part of, my project, I would say, hey, Max, I got a podcast. Do me a favor. You got to come on it and just, say nice things. Same thing, please, Mike. Just come on and, you do the voice of whoever. Just come on and let everybody know that everything's fine.
No fighting. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, that's kind of weak. You should sit there and go, you know what? Like he hasn't talked about it in 11 days because he's washed his hands at it.
To me, there's no starker example. We talked about this on the Midnight Side show the other night, which was that. Look at the deal with look at the Paramount deal for South Park. I mean, I don't think those guys have compromised, over the years. People,
but they might now.
Maybe, but I don't know. They seem to be retaining a huge amount of control in that contract.
At this point, why not phone it in? I know it's killing you fans, but phone it in and cash these checks. Do we think, guys, hang on. Do we think that Kevin Smith is overrated and slightly untalented, and that's why he couldn't produce this show well? Or do we think that he just phoned it in?
I think
that's the question. You think he's no good, or do you think he didn't care?
Not for this. No, I think if it was a project that he understood, like if it was, I believe he's doing Clerks 3 or something.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that something
who the fuck wants to see Clerks 3, by the way? I didn't want to see Clerks fucking 2.
Dude, you like
I'm with you, Max.
Max, you were talking about how much you like Clerks 1. What are you talking about?
I didn't. No, I thought at the time it meant a lot for film, for independent film, but I really don't think as a movie it was that quality.
It sucked.
Yeah.
I agree. We're all in alignment.
Now, wait a minute. Now let's examine some Kevin Smith movies that were decent.
Okay, name-
Hold
What's
on,
your
Max,
favorite Kevin
Max,
Smith
I think
movie?
you were right about something. I want to highlight something you said
Sure.
because you just made me think of something that I hadn't thought about until you just said something. And I can't believe I didn't think about it in the last week and a half. But you know, the whole dial in thing, you know, when I went back and I didn't rewatch the episodes, but I did watch the credits because I wanted to see who was responsible for this horse crap. I was going
Mhm.
on, I was going to get interviewed. It was a 4-hour show about this stuff. And so I wanted to know, you know, who did it. And I noticed that he had the writer and director's credit on that first episode. After that, his name doesn't pop up on the
Yeah,
writing
I
thing.
noticed.
No, and that's a typical Hollywood move. Is Kevin Smith's attached to it? We're gonna have him
So,
write the first and direct the pilot episode, and blah 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 blah.
so
And
that's
Kevin
what you
Smith
mean,
goes
Max.
into the meeting.
That's when you mean like the whole dial it in thing. That's
Sure.
and I can't believe I didn't even think about it till just now. Vito, did you catch that too?
Yeah, I did. Where he just made sure that, you know, he was on there just for a little bit.
It
And
was probably part of the deal that his agent worked out to be the executive producer. He goes, "Listen, I need you to do the first show, the pilot episode, and blah blah blah, and then you put the right people in place." And he probably doesn't. He probably hasn't seen the fourth fucking episode.
Max, it's like this, okay? It's very
Wow.
simple. It's very simple. If you're the captain of the Titanic, okay, who gets
This
in
isn't the
trouble?
Titanic.
But
This is
but-
a show
no,
on Netflix that he's
but
making
I'm
money.
trying to make it. I'm just trying to make a little.
There's nobody's lives at stake.
no.
He's just hoping to get picked up for season
I'm just
2,
saying.
which they probably fucking will, by the way.
I'm saying, if you're the captain of the Titanic, who's to blame if it goes down?
Good question.
Not
The
not a
captain.
question. It's just a fact. You're gonna get in
Yeah.
trouble for it. If your name is if you're the boss, you're the guy.
Right, but
who gets
what
in
good
trouble.
content has Kevin Smith put out in the last 20 years?
I don't know.
What does he care? It's not like he has this
Oh, he cares.
reputation
If you
to
ever watch him,
uphold.
if
Max, I think he cares a lot because the way he's melted down on, I mean, it's just been. I mean, sure. Now he's in a cave somewhere, hunkered down and running away. I think but he obviously visibly cares. You can tell a guy who's shaken, and he was
Maybe he's
shaken.
people that are more like us that can comment on these things but not actually produce them. If we really wanted to get into Kevin Smith, and I know you guys are comic book fans, he wrote that Tim Burton Superman film that never took off. And if I've read the script online, it's horrible.
It is awful.
It's awful, and it would have been a disaster of a movie. And I know there's always fans that want to see these things be produced, but that movie would have been a train wreck. And I think the studio knew that, and they pulled it away from all of them.
Name one movie that you liked of his, because I only watched.
I will say Mallrats. I thought Mallrats was
I've never seen it.
well-made movie. I thought it had a good blend of comedy, a good story. It was light. It was easy. I thought Dogma.
Dogma.
I didn't like Dogma.
I didn't like.
I thought it was ambitious. I respected his ambition in that, where everybody, it was these fast-talking
Give me
characters.
100 million. I'll be ambitious.
I think it was ambitious for him. I don't think after that he had anything left in the tank. And I give him credit for Dogma because it was a swing, maybe a slight miss, but at least it was a swing, and I give him respect for that.
Really? But I
yeah.
found the movie really kind of hard to watch, like hard to get through it.
A little bit, but I thought conceptually he was going for something, and I think a lot of things didn't work, be it casting, be it everything else. And I think a lot of times the studio gave him too much leeway because they said, "Hey, it's Kevin Smith. It's Kevin Smith." He's not Quentin Tarantino, all right? But I think he kind of fell into that Miramax group of geniuses.
But Max, that's what I mean when you're the captain of the Titanic. You're the one that should be getting the blame.
That's the problem. When you get the leeway as people like this who have this reputation, I don't think that studios or anybody else can interfere. And sometimes they have to, even for the best directors.
No, anytime it's that type of money, unless you're James Cameron or Steven Spielberg.
Even them have had misses, especially as of late.
Yes, of late. But I'm talking,
I mean, is there any director who continually, when he gets his own leeway, is good?
Look at the guys that do Cobra Kai, man. Nobody tells them shit.
That's not, but it's Cobra Kai. Yeah, there's the Stranger Things guys, and they kind of had to come up and prove themselves.
Episode.
Yeah, but who are those guys? Do we know them? Have they done movies?
Yes.
Are they doing some other projects?
Harold and Kumar. which was
Oh,
an
okay. I didn't
awesome
know that.
movie. So the
Okay.
guy does, and he also does. He's got other.
But I know, like, speaking of Star Wars earlier in the episode, the Game of Thrones people who created Game of Thrones, which is brilliant, or we don't want to get into that, but they were given a Star Wars script or some leeway, and the studio pulled the fucking plug on.
No, they screwed up. See, they were
Yeah.
supposed to be. The studio wanted how many seasons, and they wanted out earlier, so they screwed up with the writing. They rushed, and they screwed up the writing, the story, and it pissed off a lot of fans. And and what have they done instead of see? It's always like what can I get over here, right?
Sure.
I think that's what Kevin Smith did when they gave him He-Man. He said, "What? Hey, they're giving me this. Okay, well, I'll take this, and I'll take this," instead of sitting there and saying, "Okay, I'll take this, and I'll make it the best." You could call it a cartoon, whatever, animation, but I'll make it the best fucking cartoon out there where people are going to sit there and talk about it.
Speaking of cartoon, what did you guys think of the feature film back in the day? Underwhelming, in my opinion. Dolph Lundgren, wasn't it?
You
were a huge fan, Mike.
It was mildly entertaining, but I was so used to coming from action figures to the TV series as a kid. It was too big of a weird jump for me.
Yeah, there was a disconnect, right?
Yeah,
there was a disconnect
Max,
between
that's
the kids
exactly the
and
word.
the figures. Yes,
exactly. It was like a disconnect break. That's exactly it.
So so
now let me ask you guys a question. What do you think about you guys have a lot of different show business type experience and interaction, visibility, and different sphere from what I learned in the pre-show.
Porn, like with gerbil.
Well, but you guys are also in comedy and all that stuff, right? So I mean, what's I think we got two things going on. We have cultural assault, and then we have at the same time integrity, and maybe they're related somehow, but integrity of the subject matter, and these are two things that just seem to be popping up everywhere across the board that are disruptive to everything. I think.
I agree.
I agree.
And it's hard to stay loyal to the source material and the fans. You're never going to make all the fans happy.
Listen,
but at least make a percentage of them happy, right, Mike?
Yeah, but Matt, this is the thing that gets me. I watch you don't know the show, but I watch Columbo all the time, and people go, "What?"
Oh, one more thing.
I love that show, but
me too.
You watch the credits, okay, and they're not that long, okay. These days, there's like, if you watch credits, it's 20 minutes of people.
Oh my God, there's like 15 producers on every freaking 30-minute whatever the hell.
So if I'm sitting there and I go, Max, listen, you shot episode whatever. Let me see the script. And I go to you and I sit there and I go, okay, show me the script, Max. And then I come back to you with 20 things I want changed on that. Because I took it not only to me, but I took it to Mike. Mike took it to.
Sure, you ran it up and down the line.
Up and down the line. Then it comes back to you, and you're like, how the fuck am I supposed to fix this shit?
There's a lot of notes, right?
Kevin Smith just doesn't sit there and go, you know what? Instead of, I'll take all the blame, because if I wrote it, it's on me. But if it's 15 to 20 guys or women or whatever you coming at me, telling me they want this, they want this, they want this, they want this, then I will respect him more at the end to sit there and go, guys,
so
this is what I wanted to do, but this is what happened. And that's
it does.
And if he just did that, if he just sit there and said, listen, this is what I really wanted to do, but I was cornered, and I was, and man, I love eating steak, and I want to make more shows. So I have to go along with the narrative. I would respect him more.
Yeah, I really think most people, from my experience, I think when I look at, and I've had a lot of exposure to this He-Man Kevin Smith stuff. I mean, I've literally been on 5 different shows for probably 15 hours. Okay, on average, 3 hours shows talking about this stuff, and I think Max touched on something. The percentage of people that are like me, where they are connected to the action figures and then the series. that's kind of the minority outrage. I think most of the outrage is because people felt that they got lied to, misrepresented, and they were surprised because their role model and hero, the Nerd King. I don't know if it was Max. Max, I think used the word Nerd King or something, and I think that's right. No, I think that's no. I think he was.
I called him the Nerd King.
Okay, you call him the Nerd King. Okay, Vito. You call, but
don't give him credit.
No, I'm not.
I would never
okay,
say
okay,
anything like
okay,
that.
I'm sorry. I got the wrong
I like
person.
nerds
Vito.
too much.
Vito, I'm sorry. But I'm just saying there's a lot of people that really looked up to this guy.
Yeah.
And I think most of the outrage, I think, is out of 100%, it's probably like my group, maybe 20, 30%, maybe 20, 30, you know, hey, we got some misrepresent. But I think with some overlap, most of the fury and the rage is coming from their hero or the nerd guy, like betrayal. And that hits really, really hard. It doesn't hit me that hard because I never believed the guy. I never liked his crying little thingies. I never thought he's a guy that's telling the truth about a lot of stuff. I was never a fan, and I always thought that most of his movies were junk, frankly. But when I look at all these panels that I've been on, the vast majority of a lot of the outrage stuff comes from that. And I think that's an interesting thing because I think it makes people want to look in the mirror and say, hey, would I sell out like this? Would I do this?
Yes.
And, you know,
yes.
Max brings up a good point. If the check's $3 million, but you know what? Look, I mean, I had an office at Santa Monica, and then I had my clients were production houses. I had a lot of restaurants, bars, and a lot of production houses, Hollywood people coming in. These guys ran up their bills with me. They didn't pay. They would ask me, my accounting staff, to do stuff that wasn't legit. You know, I'm just like, screw these guys. I'm closing this.
Okay,
office.
though, Mike. All right, Mike. But real quick, I'm a studio. I'm Netflix. I'm coming to your office where you are right now. You give me the elevator pitch for He-Man, how you would want it in terms of plot and in terms of production. What would you want to do? And tell me right now. Let me hear your pitch.
Well,
Mark, we don't got the time
because you've talked about it a lot. I'm saying, give me the elevator pitch.
Max,
what do you see?
simple.
What would you see for the reboot? That I mean, you have a lot of problems with it.
Well, it doesn't.
What do you
have to,
see?
It doesn't have to be well. Let's take a step back. It shouldn't have ever been a reboot. It should have been just a continuation of the story. I mean, let me tell you this much. Let me say this to you. And I said this on another live stream. When I heard that it was called Revelation, I am so dumb that as a fan, I felt like an idiot because this is what I thought it was going to be about. I thought the big reveal was going to be how dad finds out that his son is really He-Man. And then there's the pride of the father of, oh my God, my son has been doing all this amazing stuff for the kingdom and this and this. So I thought the reveal would be, oh my God, Revelation. People are going to find out that Prince Adam's, hey, he's a He-Man, and it would be the story. And then, of course, I've got a son, so I kind of thought it'd be a father-son type of thing. And I thought that could have been a great story. And in my head, I mean, I have no basis for expecting this is what was going to happen, Max. Zero basis. Okay. But when I saw the title, Revelation, I'm like, oh my God, I know what they're going to do. They're finally going to reveal. This is the grand reveal.
That he's okay.
The inside secret. And there's going to be this great story. And I'll bet. And in my head, I told myself that the 5th episode would end with like, would this be the point of reveal or not? And then no, it's going to go into episode 6 through 10. And that's where it comes to be. And everything's going to be like, things are lining up to that cliffhanger. And then story wraps up. So that's an answer to your question. So as I'm watching what happens, you know what distracted me more than anything, besides the fact that I couldn't help hearing the Joker voice throughout the whole freaking, I mean, Jiminy Crickets, that Skeletor voice from Mark Hamill. It's the Joker. All right. I own all of the animated series that he's been in. And son of a bitch, it's like the Joker the whole time. That was distracting.
But Mike, you never said how you'd redo it.
I just told you what the plot line would be.
The revelation you would. That's
the whole
revelation.
plot line. I just gave you the whole plot line.
So production wise, that's how you would keep it though. But that plot wise,
the whole story plot.
That's the revelation. Okay,
exactly. That's the whole story plot. The second thing that distracted me that I'd make sure I wouldn't do is that Tila doesn't do steroids every episode, and her shoulders get bigger and bigger and bigger. All right, because this chick, episode to episode, got bigger and bigger. I'm like, the hell.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like,
so that's my storyline, Matt. That's how I would have fixed it.
Okay,
that's what I would have done.
You know what I would have done?
What?
Cobra Kai.
Well, listen, I know you love Cobra Kai.
Oh,
You've made that
I know what
clear,
you mean,
Vito.
I would have said this. If you guys were the writers, okay, I was Max, pull up your zipper, first of all. Second, let's make a fun show. Let's make a show where it's just fun, guys. Okay? let's make something where Skeletor and He-Man are going to have a hell of a fight. I understand they do,
Right.
but I want to see more fighting. I want to see cool storylines. I want storylines where see, Doctor Who years ago,
Oh,
at the end,
bringing it back to Doctor Who and Cobra Kai.
7 minutes at the end, all of a sudden everything starts coming together. Everything starts, like these pieces,
Right.
the mystery starts coming together, and you're sitting there going, holy shit, this is cool. This is wicked. This is,
Yeah,
and
that show didn't give you any of that.
that's what I would do if I would sit there and go, guys, we're gonna write something that we're all gonna be proud of, and if anybody doesn't like it, screw them. We tried our best.
Well, that's what Kevin Smith's saying right now.
No, but but he's being defensive about it, Max.
Oh, he has to be.
Okay, because because here's the thing: when you got guys like Doomcock and Neurotic, Babyface versus heel, all these guys that have huge platforms now. Okay, these guys have massive platform. Critical Drinker, they're huge. So when Netflix looks at that, and I'm sure Kevin Smith will look at stuff like that and go, holy shit, the nerds have spoken. I mean, these guys have such a platform.
What, from his new pool?
No, like
I mean, what?
Max, these guys have, I know you don't see it.
Sure, yeah, right.
But these guys have such a huge following of people that it will affect the numbers. Over 400,000 people have unsubscribed from Netflix. Now, if you were the president of Netflix, you would sit there and go, guys, that's almost
drop in the bucket.
That's
No,
almost
that's a drop in the bucket.
No, it's still money, Max. 400,000.
I don't think so.
People.
No.
In one.
They'll come back too. They'll come back.
Do,
Cobra Kai in December. They'll come back.
You can't rely just on Cobra Kai. You gotta have a plethora of great shows. Okay?
Mike, what about this? Do you think they should have touched it at all? Maybe they could have let the show sit as it was.
No.
And why does Hollywood have to bring back all this shit? Is my point. Maybe it worked in a time like Star Wars, you said. Maybe those things worked in that time and they don't work now for whatever reason.
You know, Max, you bring up an interesting point. What you just talked about just came up on a show that I was just on a few days ago, and I never thought about that point until then. And I've been thinking about this. Since Thursday, and I think I'm having a massive reshift in my mental thinking. Whereas before, I want to say the old Mike. I'm still old, right? But I'm saying, okay, if I could go back in time, I think, and maybe this is going forward, I think I'm going to adjust my chain. Basically, what you're talking about here is that I think I need to think of things like, okay, one of the things I used to watch with my grandpa, he used to love like the old westerns, right? Gunsmoke and Wild Wild West, Bonanza. And you know what? God bless me. I think what I've got to do is I've got to recheck myself, and I've got to adjust and say the things that I love were great. We had them while they were. Leave them alone. And anytime these guys try to retouch it, I'm just going to mentally check out because I realize they're going to bastardize something that I once held. And I've got to. It's like what you said. They were great for the time in which they were, for the people that they were in the time. And now,
exactly.
But the thing that just drives me nuts, Max, is why can't people be creative and create new shit? Right. Why do they got to jack with old stuff? I mean, God.
That is a huge question. I think because studios aren't as bold to say it's hard to invest money in a new project. It's easy that He-Man has a base like you, Mike, that will come to the show no matter what. Right?
But Max, what's the point of doing doing an old show again if you're just going to screw it up? If you're going to make it horrible? Right.
But that's been proven time in and time again. The Star Wars movies, the Ghostbuster movies, this reboot, that reboot. I know Cobra Kai is an outlier, but most of them are shit.
Yes, but Max,
most of these reboots are shit.
Why are they shit?
Because maybe those stories existed in our hearts at that time, and there was a marketing campaign, and there was action figures, and those were revolutionary, and we didn't even get on that.
Plenty of people out there. There's plenty.
But these are old stories.
No, but you can make those stories. Okay, take Luke Skywalker. Take Han Solo. The way he died.
Ah.
Okay. Okay, so
No, I don't even want to acknowledge
listen,
those three
listen,
movies.
Listen, I'm not. Listen, I don't write for TV shows. Okay, but I could write a better death scene than that.
Oh, for sure.
Come on now.
So that's what pisses off fans. So when you're sitting there saying, "Hey, man, that was like back then. That was, hey, man,
Right. Leave it there is my point, Vito.
Yeah, my point is, you could still take those properties and still make them good.
Yes.
Okay, when you can, it's not like just leave them there. There are some things like, okay, I agree with you with some, like if they were to ever do the good, the bad, and the ugly, I would be like, you're stupid, leave it alone.
Why not? Why not do a 12-part Netflix series, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and really fall into the lure and do the spaghetti western and follow this Clint Eastwood character? You could do it if you really did it right.
But you just said why would you do it?
But why fuck with it? Leave it.
But
Leave Star Wars. Leave
I don't know, what are you
man.
on, mushrooms or what? Like, what do you like? You want us to do it or not?
If you're gonna, like you said though, if you're gonna do it right. But is that going to appeal to the masses right away? Is that going to appeal to these people sitting at a fucking studio?
Well,
desk?
I think so.
That's
Okay, you
the
know
biggest
what?
thing.
You
if you go into a studio and say, I'm going to take He-Man, but I'm going to change, I'm going to explore the lure a little bit of it, and I'm going to make it live action, and I'm going to make it a 15-part series. Are people going to give you money for that? I don't think so. If they say, we'll make that shitty cartoon, and Kevin Smith's attached to it.
You're never going to make everybody happy.
Never.
Hold on. I've got one to throw out. Hold on. What about the Star Wars Mandalorian season finale, which for a brief moment in time, damn near all of the Star Wars fandom came together?
Yeah.
And
I think Mandalorian is another like example of, we made this a 12. That's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly as a series, pretty much, right?
That's what I was about to say. It's that old spaghetti western, and that's what Jon Favreau's wanted. And he did a great job at that.
And he took it over, and it was great, and it was better than anything they've done with Star Wars since Return.
When they told me they were going to make an Iron Man movie, I said, "Oh boy, I can't wait until they fuck this up." And then I went and watched it, and I went back and watched it twice because I was like, "This is awesome."
But did you like the sequels?
Yes, I
thought 2 and 3 were garbage.
I liked them, but then again, my name's Mexican Ironman on the internet, so you know.
I thought one was good, and then they lost me after that.
But my point is this, Max: you could still go back and make a good sequel for some things. Some things I would sit there and go, "No, man, that would be horrible. Don't do that." And
Cobra Kai is a perfect example. Like, okay, we're gonna expand Cobra Kai and make it a series.
But here's the thing: sometimes it works. And sometimes you're like, oh, wow, that is amazing. But you got to have the right people. And in this day and age, I think they've taken like, okay, Doctor Who. Okay. The writing for that show, there's no science fiction writers. Why would you hire for a science fiction show? Why wouldn't you hire science fiction writers?
Because you want to give your sister a job or something. I don't know, or like her boyfriend.
For me, Max, if you're doing construction, and you say, Vito, I need a construction worker, and I say, listen, I'm a painter. Like I just paint. And
I just hire Kevin Smith.
No, but you're like, hey, dude, come work here. Just come work here. And you're like, what are you doing with the concrete? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I told you I'm a painter. But
he could do this, he could do that, right?
But you understand my point, Max?
Sure.
There are people out there. You just hire the right person for the right job, okay?
And tell the right story.
Yes.
So we can all agree that this He-Man, wrong person, wrong job, wrong story. 3 strikes. This show is out, right?
Well,
yeah,
but here's the thing.
Well said, Max.
Here's the thing, right? When like Kevin Smith said, I think that like when he kind of had his little meltdown, he said, people can come back, things can change. He talked about there's going to be a great fight scene. There's going to be this. He's trying everything to pull you back, right? It's like me selling you a car, Max, sitting there going, dude, I know there's a bit of rust on it, but give me a week. Okay, we're going to fix this up. And you're like, dude, you farted in my car.
No way. I mean, I could see if it was a slow burn or something, but they just took Bad choice. They just made bad choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Agreed.
did. They should have just said, "Listen, Kevin, you're not. Listen,
Did they care?
Like if okay, just say you're Kevin Smith. You come to me and I'm Netflix. You're Kevin Smith. Say hello, Mister Netflix. Just do it.
Hello.
I'll be your agent.
All right. I'm Kevin Smith.
Right. What do you want? What do you want? I don't have a whole lot of time. Go on.
I'm gonna make this He-Man show. I guess I'll write the first episode. Give me $4.5 million, and I'll put it all on my message boards and everything else.
All right.
We got a deal. Great working with you. I'll shit out that first episode by next week probably because I don't give a fuck.
But this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to fuck it up so bad.
That's great. Yeah.
That that people are going to be.
Yeah, that's good. By episode 9, Adam's balls are going to be castrated, and
they already are.
Evelyn will be holding them in a magical orb.
I see it in my head. I love it. I love it.
Brilliant.
3 million. I'll give you 10. Are you kidding? Guys,
This is the funniest podcast or live stream I've done in a week and a half. I got to tell you, this is great.
Oh, me and Max
Having a good
go
time.
back and forth all the time. It's
This is freaking great.
He's awesome. He's the Italian gigolo. He's gonna have me over his house, and me and him.
You're coming to my Nana's house in
Exactly.
London
We're
once
gonna
they
have-
open up the
we're gonna have
border.
a nice big meal. It's gonna be awesome. No, Max is awesome. I love his points. He doesn't hold back, and that I like.
We know.
Well,
God
Vito,
God
you're
bless-
amazing.
God bless. We still got some. I mean, look, Max, I'm just meeting you tonight. God bless. We still have some voices here that care about this stuff, that have decisive viewpoints that are insightful, and that's what you
Thank
guys
you,
both
Mike.
have.
Well,
I mean,
Thank you, Mike.
seriously.
And Mike, thank you for your passion on this subject matter. Really, thank you for your passion because you really brought it, and that's what it's all about. Is these fans who these shows grabbed at your heart in some way that you carry on into your adulthood and into your life, and that's great.
You have kids?
I do, yeah. I have 2 of
Okay.
them,
So how old?
5 and 7.
Okay. So they're still young enough. Is there any movie that you loved, like Princess Bride or anything, any movie that you loved that it's your go-to? Like for me, I love Crocodile Dundee, right? So I'll watch that once a year just to go, hey man, it kind of gets to me. I love the ending.
Mhm.
Always puts a tear in my eye. I get those Kevin Smith fake cries going. Mine are real though.
I have several. Yes,
Is
I have several.
Is there any movie out there that you say is yours? It's yours.
I have several. I wouldn't say just mine, but yeah, I have several that
For
sure.
you that emotionally does something when you watch it. Not like when you watch fucking Rocky and you want to go out and punch a guy. I'm talking about.
Well, I'm Italian now. Yeah, like
Hey, bada bing, brother, bada bing.
I'm talking about.
yes.
Is there okay? Now, would that movie be something that you would like to watch with your son when he's old?
I would love to connect with my kids on certain movies and shows. Sure,
Pick
yeah.
one.
Okay,
Pick
And I've
one.
tried.
Here's the thing. When I watch Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, my son is like, he's the video game era, right? So
Right.
I said, come down, we're gonna watch a movie together. Okay. And he goes, here we go. Because I'm like, we're gonna watch a movie. Come on. Enough with the stupid video games. And he's like, Dad, it's that old Western or whatever. He did not move for 3 hours.
Wow.
And
Wow.
he absolutely, it's his favorite Western. He loves Tuco, and I think of myself as Tuco.
Yeah, I could see the kids liking him. Yeah.
So, but he's like, Dad, so when was this made? And I told him, hey, it was made before I was born, like this is, and he just loves the music. He loves I'm like, look at how he tracked the guy down, how he was trying to find him. The guy screwed him over. He's going to get him. He's going to, it's something where when I look over at my son, it brings this emotion where I go, I remember the first time when I watched something that made me happy.
Mhm.
And I want him to have, that feeling.
That's a good thing with film and everything else is
But
you can
that's-
experience it with
but that-
someone else.
But that's the problem with film today. When I was a kid, film was Like I went to the cinema and watch E.T., it was like
Sure.
you would cry, you would sit there and go, "Wow, that was an amazing movie." How many times have you walked out of? Well, these days you
But
can't walk out of
Vito,
the theater.
let's
But
not age ourselves.
no,
There's
but
too much media now
no,
for
but
young
here's the
people
thing,
to
Matt.
be exposed to, for them to think of
But
going to a movie as an experience, just like getting an album isn't an experience. It's just a different experience for them that we
no,
can't match.
no. But I'm saying, why can't it be where somebody makes something that is just beautiful anymore?
It's not
Why
easy.
is it all? Why is it all poisoned?
First of all, it shouldn't all be beautiful because A,
No,
you can't do it. And B, if it all was beautiful, then we wouldn't even know what shit was, right?
no. You know when something's nice, it speaks to you, and you sit there and go, "Wow,
And
that
that's
really."
great.
You know what I mean? But
Sure.
that's what you want. As there's so much garbage out there that
There is.
you want, as your kid get old, as your children get older, you'll sit there. There's one of them.
Are you at work?
Damn.
Oh, this is so cute right now.
Look at, there's my son. He just came
This
up.
is so cute right now.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
how are you?
He
Hi.
can't hear. He can't hear you because I got the
Oh,
headphones.
Uncle
but
Mike.
He says hi.
That's good. He's
I'll be
getting
right
nightmare
there.
tonight. But Max,
Sorry, Vito.
my point being is, put it this way, like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I watch that every year with my dad. My dad's getting up there in age.
Mm.
Okay. I look over
Agree.
at him sometimes and he's sleeping because he's tired, right? He's old.
Right.
And I think to myself, and I get emotional about it when I look over at him and I put a blanket on him and I just sit there and I go, how many more times am I going to watch this movie with him?
Mhm.
That's what gets to me
Yeah.
because we have that bond.
Yeah.
And that's
So
what,
maybe we should think about a 12 series, 12-part episode, 12 episode series, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
that's it, Max. Fuck up a good story. That's good.
Why? I think, Vito,
But-
you could do it and make it right and
No,
make it
but
good.
Mike, do you understand my point?
I completely do.
I do. I'm sorry. Generations bonding over the same thing. I get it. I get it.
In years from now, when your kid gets older, you're going to sit there and go, yeah, look, he's gone.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Years
You know,
from
one
now-
of the things, Vito, I should tell you that the reason when I told you that story, when I told both you guys the story about I watched it before my kid, because he and I watch stuff
Yeah.
regularly, right? It's not like I pre-approve everything. And so, that experience, it still continues to this day because it's a dad family experience. I mean, it really is. Name me one movie, Max. I'm curious, one of the movies that's on your list that you might want to watch with your kid one day.
Oh, with my son, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, wow.
I think it's the most brilliant film ever made. And one day, I hope he understands a shred of it with me, and we could connect on that level. Now,
Wow.
listen, he's 7, and I don't think he's there yet.
No.
You know
no,
what you
but-
should watch before that?
But
with
I
him?
want to show him it, and I want to just see where his head's at when he's done with it. So
Yeah.
that's a movie for me that if he knew how I feel about it, and I knew how he felt about it, and he could go on living after me knowing about that movie, it would mean something to me.
That's
Well, it's
fantastic.
like Stanley Kubrick is my favorite director. So
Me too. So
Clockwork Orange is
yeah, I don't want to watch that with myself. No.
no, you don't watch it with him. You watch that with a date that you don't like.
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's the power of at one time. I don't know how old you are, but at one time, Mike, you remember how powerful movies were.
Of course, they
Sure,
still are
so
to
do
me.
I. Now
Look.
stop.
Yeah, I mean, we're none of us are spring chickens. I'm sure.
But do you think they are to our children? Do you think
And-
even a theater experience is going
I
to
think-
exist in the
Look,
next 10
okay,
years?
Max, listen to this. Let me just say this. This is last Christmas. This is pre-COVID. Okay, so this is pre-COVID. Okay, it's his birthday. It's coming up, but it's Christmas. You know what his gift to me was? He saved. This is so we got to go back 2 Christmases ago. Okay, right? Or is it 2 or 3 now? Okay, so he saved up his allowance money, and his gift to me was that we were gonna go see The Rise of Skywalker together in the theater, and he wanted to take his lightsaber that I had given him from previously to that. He said, "Dad, can we take it?" I mean, I already knew.
Wow.
I already knew Rise of Skywalker was gonna suck, right? I already knew, right? We're 2 weeks in, right? So this is like 2 weeks because it released, I think, on the 18th or whatever. So this is that. What it's after Christmas, Christmas morning. I'm getting. He says, "Dad, we're gonna go," and I'm like,
Oh,
But I mean, my little heart melted
Yeah, of
because
course.
I never really.
what
thought
about
that, but he,
Mike?
okay,
What
but
about
he knew I love Star
Mandalorian?
Wars. He's not watching Mandalorian. He's not.
Why
He's
not?
not. I don't know why. He just isn't into. He's just not in. He just didn't. It just
Oh,
didn't click for
wow.
him. It's not. He's not into it. He literally is. I mean, this kid is really weird. He's like watching older stuff, in a weird way. I mean, he did see it, but he even the Godzilla movies. He likes the 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah, he's a
stuff.
Godzilla guy.
Yeah, it's black and white. But the point of the matter is that I think this is something unique about the human condition. I mean, here's my kid who, and I'm not saying all kids are like this, and he surprised the hell out of me because his mom didn't put him up to the idea. His grandpa, he just on his own decided that, hey, Dad likes Star Wars. Dad got me a lightsaber, and I want to go. And this is what he did. He saved up his money, and he says, "Let's go. We're two tickets. Let's go."
My daughter got me. She saved up and got me the Hulk. She knows I love the Hulk. So that's an original 1977 Hulk.
Right.
So she saved up her money and got that for me. And what book she's reading right now is The Princess Bride because she watches it with me at least once a year. She remembers when she was little. She would watch it with me. She loves the movie. It's like it's this bonding thing where you kind of like if you sit there and tell me the movies you like, all of a sudden it's kind of like we know each other somehow.
I remember The Wizard of Oz, watching that with my parents, thinking that
movie never did it for me.
See, I always thought it was like an amazing movie, and they played it on TV once a year, and it was a big thing to watch it. And I wouldn't even show my kids The Wizard of Oz now.
One of the funniest things, my son, he was. I remember he was 11, and he goes, "Dad, today at school, they made us watch Wizard of Oz," and I don't like that movie. And I go, "Oh, how was it?" And he goes, "Dad, it was awful."
Again, I think it's a time and a place.
I was like, oh, "Yeah, all right, okay, all right."
But I think we can all build a bridge by saying it's a time and a place. But these things matter because there are culture, there are popular myths, and because there are popular myths and there are culture, they mean something to us. And then these things have a greater meaning, whichever property they are, whichever story it is.
Okay.
Well said, Mike.
Last word. Anybody want to say something? Is Kevin Smith, real quick? I'm going to say, all right. Is Kevin Smith overrated? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Hands down.
Max?
I'll agree. You guys talked me into it. However, I don't really think he's rated that high as far as directors are concerned, or lists of directors, or my favorite directors. However, his name does carry clout that I don't think it deserves.
I agree with you.
Well said.
Right. Listen, I want to thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. Okay, I know Mike's got to take off. He's got to go do a show, and you got to go and take care of your kid. Guys, it's been a pleasure, and we got to do it again, okay? And this time we're gonna shit on. I don't know. We'll pick somebody to shit on.
I'm down.
I like both anytime.
I'm down.
Mike.
I'm
Mike,
down.
nice
Max,
meeting
I like meeting you. Vito, can you send me on Twitter his stuff so I can follow him too?
Sure.
Awesome. You don't want to do that.
No, dude, you're hilarious. I like you. We're good.
Well, Mike, it was great talking to both of you. Vito, thank you so much,
Hey,
and Mike, it was great meeting you.
It was great
meeting you.
Thank you,
Vito.
This again. Thank you. Be good, guys. Be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.